There are some wonderful metaphors in the scriptures that describe our relationship with God, and especially His care for us and His love for us. You remember some of them. He is our rock, our fortress, our place of refuge, a place that we can build on. Or we live under the shadow of the Almighty, His presence all the time. Or love the one we're under His wings, like a bird sheltering her little ones and protecting. That's where we live in relationship with God. But there's another metaphor that's maybe not quite as familiar. It's found in Hosea chapter 11. And God, speaking about His love for the nation of Israel, says, I led them with cords of human kindness, with ties of love. To them I was like one who lifts a little child to the cheek, and I bent down to feed them. Isn't that a marvelous metaphor? Like a child being lifted to the cheek. I think of a strong father or a nurturing mother, a child who is helpless and needy, and then he just lifts to the cheek in intimacy and protection and help. I want you to think about that metaphor today, to think about a God who loves you in that way. John, the apostle, writes about God's love. He says, this is love, not that we loved God, but that He loved us and sent His Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. To live in the love of God. It's interesting, the apostle John, as he writes his gospel, describes himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved. I hope today you can think about that. Are you just living as the disciple whom Jesus loved? And he says in his account of that Last Supper that he leaned against Jesus' breast. That sense of Him nurturing us and us simply leaning into Him. I remember reading a story about a missionary who went to a land where the tradition was to sit on the floor, and she had not been used to that. And one of the people there noticed that she was rather uncomfortable with it, and so she moved up right in behind her so that she could lean her back up against her back to have support that she needed. And as she was there, she recognized that the missionary wasn't committing herself totally to leaning into her. And she says, if you love me, lean hard. Isn't that great? Love leans hard. So there's the metaphor, the Lord lifting you to His cheek and nurturing you there. And for us, just simply to lean into that, to lean hard into His love. I hope you'll do that today. God's blessing.